former professor of physics and Vice Chancellor Sri Venkateswara University. I will be talking to you today on the carbon dioxide removal from atmosphere, the possibilities and limitations. We have been witnessing the most severe consequences of climate change, and to avoid them requires significant innovation and a range of technological, market and policy solutions. To meet critical mid-century reduction targets, that is, we have set some targets to be achieved by 2050, studies clearly point to the need for carbon dioxide removal from the atmosphere. This is called CDR, carbon dioxide removal from the atmosphere, and storing it durably in terrestrial or geological reservoirs are utilized for different applications and for producing products. These CDR strategies include: 1. The nature-based approaches, for example, afforestation, reforestation, biochar, soil carbon sequestration; and 2. Technological and industrial approaches, which involves bioenergy with carbon capture and storage. It is represented as BECCS, bioenergy, carbon capture and storage; and direct air capture, DAC, direct air capture from the atmosphere by certain techniques. So these are the two main ways of removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. There are other CDR strategies also, which include land management, that is converting biomass to biochar and using it as a soil amendment, adopting agricultural practices like no-till farming to increase carbon storage in the soils. 2. Accelerated weathering. The weathering rate of silicate rocks is increased, producing dissolved carbonate minerals which are transported to the ocean. 3. Ocean fertilization, that is, nutrients are added to the ocean, which increases oceanic productivity in the surface ocean and transports a fraction of the resulting biogenic carbon downwards. Please see the figure 1 representing all the methods that I have just mentioned. You can stop for a minute to see the figure, which is self-explanatory. CDR techniques complement CCS, that means carbon capture and storage. This is a system which I mentioned earlier, which are now attached to the coal plants and other sources which release lots of carbon dioxide. The CCS methods that primarily focus on reducing carbon dioxide emissions from point sources such as fossil fuel fired power plants and steel production and cement production units. Bioenergy with carbon capture and storage, that is BECCS, includes 3 steps. The first one, the production of several biomass and biofuels based around forestry, sugarcane, corn and switchgrass production. B. Capture of the CO2 produced in the combustion of biomass or the processes of fermenting biofuels. And 3. Storing of captured carbon dioxide. So see the figure 2 where these things are mentioned. You see the figure afforestation and reforestation. You can see the carbon dioxide removal from the combustion unit, and you will also see how the carbon dioxide is absorbed by the vegetation. CDR approaches have both capabilities and barriers for large scale deployment, and importantly, these are not a substitute for emissions reduction, which is our urgent priority. A number of recent studies, including the important 2018 IPCC special report on global warming of 1.5 degrees centigrade, have emphasized the need for CDR methods to reach global climate objectives as spelled in the Paris Agreement in 2015. All IPCC mitigation pathways, IPCC you know already, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. The mitigation pathways of IPCC that limit warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade by 2100 use CDR in their projected models, mathematical models. 3. The US National Academy of Sciences has estimated that to meet the Paris Agreement goals, 10 gigatons of carbon dioxide need to be removed globally each year through 2050, that is mid-century. Then 20 gigatons of carbon dioxide removed each year from 2050 to the end of the century 2100. CDR methods are key in the transition to a decarbonized future because they can help decarbonize sectors which are very hard to do. For example, industrial processes such as limestone calcination would still emit carbon dioxide even if they are powered by clean energy sources. Now, CDR methods are needed in this situation. In other cases, reducing the last few percentage points of emission might cost enough to create economic burdens for businesses and consumers. Compensating for these emissions with CDR can provide environmental and economic benefits. CDR methods, along with the total discard of fossil fuels use, are called negative emissions technologies, NETs, removing carbon dioxide from atmosphere as well as discarding the use of fossil fuels. Both together constitute negative emission technology. A large-scale increase in vegetation coverage through afforestation or energy crops could alter the surface characteristics such as surface reflectivity. Some modeling studies had shown that afforestation in seasonally snow-covered boreal regions could in fact accelerate global warming, where afforestation in the tropics could be more effective at slowing the global warming. So this is what happens if the surface reflectivity gets changed. Now, the first approach, what I mentioned, nature-based approach, though have challenges, they are largely affordable, readily available, and have an important role to play in both the near and long term. The second one, the technological approaches, which are BECCS and DAC, direct air removal, may be technically feasible, more scalable, and more permanent, but will require further development to reach the commercial viability, which is very important. An unprecedented level of development, extraordinary development and deployment must begin now so that CDR projects can be realized at the necessary scale by the mid-century, that is 2050. But this development and deployment depends on several factors. Some of them, the important ones are the potential a given technology has, the cost viability, the level of readiness to be adopted, and scalability, and how quickly the carbon sink reaches capacity, and the permanence of the carbon removals. So these are the factors which I would look into seriously, and these has to be solved before a serious development and deployment can be taken up. For large scale deployment of CDR methods, economic and technical concerns need to be addressed. Economics is important, and technicality, sound technicality is equally important. To do that, proper combination of technology push policies and demand pull policies are required. What is technology push policies? They can enhance the development of CDR technologies through research, development, and demonstration, funding, as well as developing carbon dioxide transport and storage infrastructure. The demand pull policies include market-based mechanisms such as carbon pricing, levying a cost on the carbon emission, allowing CDR projects to participate in low carbon standards, and promoting markets for utilization of the captured carbon dioxide. Also include other policies. For example, establishing rigorous and reliable life cycle analysis for CDR methods, and 2, reducing uncertainties related to long-term carbon storage. Give one example of the CDR methods which have been developed by a company in Switzerland. A Swiss company is set to become the world's first to commercially remove carbon dioxide directly from the atmosphere and turn it into a useful product. The facility, situated near Zurich, plans to compress the carbon dioxide captured from the atmosphere and use it as a fertilizer to grow crops in the greenhouses. You look at the picture 3 very carefully. You see the machinery in the forefront which removes the carbon dioxide, and you see in the background a cluster of greenhouses where there is a plantations inside, and the carbon dioxide captured will be sent to grow, to provide fertilizer for those plants. The company wants to scale its technology over the next decade with a long-term goal to capture 1% of global annual carbon dioxide emissions by 2025. That's a huge amount. The company installed 18 carbon dioxide collectors on the roof of a garbage incineration plant outside Zurich city. See the figure 3 again. It is located, the equipment is located on the roof of an incineration plant of the waste, powered by the waste heat from the incinerator. That is not, see, that is used. The collectors use fans to suck the ambient air into the filters which absorb the carbon dioxide. The filters are then heated and the carbon dioxide is removed and sent by pipes to the greenhouses located in the background, in the nearby. The greenhouse will use 900 metric tons of captured carbon to grow crops each year. The captured carbon dioxide could also be used to manufacture transportation fuel, carbonated soft drinks, and other useful products. According to the company, the Swiss company, in order to meet the goal of removing the equivalent of 1% annual global carbon dioxide emissions, 250,000 similar plants would have to be built. Future direct capture plants, future direct air capture plants will cost up to $400 per metric ton of captured carbon dioxide to operate. With the sequestration, the carbon sequestration, adding an additional $10 to $20 to that cost per ton. Now, I have chosen this topic for today because in the last video I talked about how to measure the carbon dioxide that was being pumping into the atmosphere. Thank you.